welcome to the Sharon and Joe Show. My name is Sharon.
Hi everybody, my name is Joe.
So Joe and I just ate dinner and it was so fantastic
Aw.
because we had, yes, because Joe cooked, that's true,
Yeah.
but also because we had vegetables from our garden that we ate tonight.
It's always cool when you eat your own food. There's just something about it just tastes better.
Yeah, I told Joe, it's great because we have the chickens too, so I love making, I actually made it for you earlier, the
Yeah,
scrambled
nice.
eggs with, so I had scrambled eggs with tomatoes, peppers, chives, all from the garden. It was awesome.
It was very, very good. I had 2 sandwiches. It was good.
You know what, guys? I love cooking for Joe. Like I like cooking for my family too, but I get a lot of satisfaction cooking for Joe. It's like there's a part of me that just, I don't know, it's like traditional, I guess.
It's like the Italian moms when you go over for dinner. Yeah, and Sharon's a really awesome cook too. So it's like, dude, I'm not faking it. Like when she's cooking, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. I'm not used to it, so I really appreciate it.
Well, and you have blueberry pie for later.
Yep, we picked blueberries a couple weeks ago, and we made blueberry pie, and it was just fun, cool things.
It's awesome. It's fun to do stuff like that. So that is what we've been doing. But in today's video, Joe and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that happened to us yesterday. And it kind of got us thinking about how important it is to release the pain that we all feel. So should I just go into it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start it off, see what's happening.
So I'm the type of person that keeps stuff inside. We talked on the channel a couple weeks ago about how Joe said, not that I keep secrets from him, but I'm not always forthcoming with things that are bothering me. I don't like pain.
You don't like talking about it.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, of course, nobody else likes pain, but I this is probably typical. Probably you guys do this too. I run away from pain. I don't want to feel it, especially emotional pain. Joe's different than me because he'll be okay experiencing it, feeling it. I'm not like that.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to pain. Pain has been a motivator my entire life. It wasn't until recently, the last couple of years, where I made a decision to try to let love be a motivator instead of pain. But pain has got me to where I am. I've achieved things, accomplished things, through discipline and hard work and effort. It doesn't have to be that way, though. I think pain, like the ego, like anger, they're all emotions. They're there for a reason, but to wallow in it, is something that's not good to do. But I'm definitely no stranger to pain.
At nighttime, I sleep with headphones in because I can't stand being alone with my own thoughts. It's horrible. So that's how I am. I'm different than you in that way.
Well, at nighttime, I got my CPTSD where I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm up for half the night and this and that, or I can't breathe and stuff. So
we're a mess, Joe and I.
We're doing okay, though. Fake it till you make it. But we're real, though. What happened yesterday at the park was, I think, good for Sharon in a way. I'll let you explain what happened.
So Joe and I go to this local park, and to say local park doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
It's almost like a national park. It's not, but it's huge like that.
It's beautiful. There's a river that goes through it, and it's like a little gem in our city. It's like a forest unto itself when we go there. It's like once you get in, it's just really cool to be there.
Joe and I go a
couple times a week.
Yeah. So we were there yesterday, and we were exploring some areas we hadn't explored before, and we were sitting down on this rock just looking out at the water, the river, and all of a sudden I started feeling incredibly emotional. And when I say emotional, I was in anguish. I just felt so much pain, and of course right away I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to talk myself out of it, and for whatever reason I wasn't able to talk myself out of it, and I had a breakdown, I guess. I just broke down. I was really, really upset. I was feeling deep anguish. And Joe was amazing because it probably shocked him when I did that, but he just held me so tight. And he kept telling me, I'm here. So I felt safe, but I was sobbing and breaking down, and I felt horrendous. It was so bad, and I hated every second of it. But today I feel almost cleansed. I feel lighter. I feel better. I feel like I got something out that I needed to get out. And that's what we want to talk about tonight, how important it is.
What was it like that? I mean, explain, what were you grieving, or what were you upset about?
I was thinking about my son for part of this. This is what started me going. Joe and I have 4 kids together. We both have a son that is struggling. and not horrendously, but it concerns us and it bothers us and it hurts us. But with both of us, it's very painful. You guys know our kids have had their childhood stolen. Joe and I, each lost 20 years. I mean, that's terrible too. But these kids, they grew up not the way Joe and I wanted them to. The dreams that we had for them, it's so painful. I feel like it's too much to handle.
A powerlessness when, your son, is depressed or just not happy, and, no amount of love. It's just you feel like you're powerless over it. And we're doing certain steps where we got a game plan. Hopefully, with God's help, it's going to be okay. But it breaks our heart. Sometimes we talk about like we try to be spiritual people, and we believe in God. And sometimes we talk about how narcissism is like a spiritual battle, and I simplify it like, okay, if there's a Satan or a Lucifer or whatever, that just signifies evil. But if you were to personify it, like, what a better way to like get at God, somebody that you hate, than to hurt his kids.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's like when we see our kids, and they were innocent, they were just not a part of our decision making, our abusive relationship that we're in. It's just they were innocent, and to see them like that. Now, it's important to realize, though, too, is that at the same time, on the other side of the coin, is that we're very grateful for the blessings that we do have. And our kids are still young. They're not in any kind of trouble, just more emotionally. I think everybody in this world, you can't be shielded by pain. You're going to experience it, and it's good in a way that they're able to experience it under our guidance and our shelter, rather than be into the real world and run into strangers or people that don't know them and experience that kind of pain, because I've been there.
So my son, when he was born, I had a lot of trouble conceiving him. I could not conceive him. And there was a time where it's weird for me to think back to this time. I had Paris, and I adore Paris. I love her. She was my firstborn. I mean, so don't get me wrong here. I had to have that child. There was a maternal drive in me. I used to cry every night. I mean, I've told you guys some of the horrible things my ex did. That's for another story, but I think I've mentioned them on the channel before. I was in absolute anguish. I finally got pregnant with my son, and because I used fertility drugs, I was pregnant with 3 children. So I was pregnant with triplets, and I lost 2 of them. So this child, I can't describe to you, like when I was pregnant, I was so careful, like everything, I was doing everything right. I wanted this child. And I know that probably sounds weird because you want your children too. I get it. I wanted Paris. Not being able to have him, and then God giving me this gift, and had all these dreams for him, for both my kids. And it was like, and I was thinking about that yesterday.
And they were so happy when they were younger.
Yeah.
We look at pictures of, my oldest is struggling a little bit. When he was young, it was just such a happy baby. And like, and you see, like, you see things start to change. Even at that moment, you're starting to see things, and like, you're powerless over it. You can only do so much, and it's like, it sucks.
Well, there's like, a point, I think, when Joe and I were just talking about this. When you're with a narcissist, so when you're in the entanglement, or even when you're just out of it, you're not living in the real world. So there's people around you, you see people, but they don't live in the same world as you. And when you get out, there is this stage where you start processing it, and it's a shock. And I was thinking that too yesterday when I was at the park with Joe. I'm thinking, I think I even said it to you. I was like, how did this happen? Like, what the hell happened? Because it just, if you think back to how you thought it was, how you believed it was going to be, and then you look at the reality, it's absolutely shocking. It's more than you have an emotional capacity to withstand to a degree. And so all these thoughts are churning in my head. And I was listening. I'm a big Derek Prince fan, if anyone knows him. He's a theologian. He passed away, 20 years ago. But I listen to him all the time. Like, that's what's in my earbuds at night. And I was listening to him today, and I was looking at my dogs, and he said at one point, because like Joe and I said, we believe that when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's spiritual warfare for real, not just something to say.
It's not just a word we use to throw around. So many words like God and love, and like we throw these around sometimes, and sometimes we forget the meaning behind that. When we say a spiritual warfare, like it's spiritual warfare. That's why it's so difficult, and it's why there's so much pain and destruction. Is like it's not just psychological and emotional and mental. There's a spiritual component here, and these spirits, whatever drives them to do what they do, are much more powerful than us. Without God, we had no chance. So, yeah, we need to be reminding ourselves sometimes that it's spiritual warfare.
Well, I was reminded today, like I was saying about Derek Prince, I was listening to him, and he was talking about how people, I know this sounds kooky to some people, but that there are, not spirits, but there's demons, there's demons that go inside of you, like in your body, the way he explains it. There's a demon of alcoholism, and even alcohol, the Latin word is spiritus. So yeah. It's that's where that comes from. It changes you, and these demons can come inside of you and manipulate you and play games with you.
They can't totally possess you if you belong to God, but they certainly can heavily influence your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions.
And he was saying how to get rid of it, to
purge it.
Yes, to purge it. And he was talking about how, sometimes you need to scream or cough or even just blowing out. That's how it leaves. And immediately when I heard this, I felt, wow, this is a sign from God, because that's what happened yesterday. I when I say I had a breakdown, it was not good. I had a breakdown. I was very, very upset. If it wasn't for Joe being there, I don't even know what happened.
God's got you. You'd have been okay. I just was there to kind of ease the pain a little bit and comfort you, just to let you know that, there's nothing I can say or do other than just to say you're not alone. You're not alone.
Well, you kept telling me that you love me, that you're here, you're not going anywhere, you're here, and you held me so tight, and I needed that. My impulse was to break away. I think I kept even leaning forward. I was breaking away. But you held on tighter, and eventually, that's what I needed. I needed
the love.
Yeah. So, it was a bad moment. It was bad. But today, you guys, and that's really what the video is about. We can talk about Joe too, because he deals with this a little bit differently than I do. If you are dealing with something, right, and you're like me, and the thoughts come in your mind, and you're so angry with the narcissist, or you're upset about your children, or the things that you lost. It's been a painful year, you guys, losing my house, and it was horrible. So it's been, and I'm starting to get on my feet now, Joe and I both are. But these thoughts, it just, how could he do this? Why? What the hell? It's not, you can't believe it. And when these thoughts come in your mind, I'm encouraging you, maybe not to have a full breakdown, but to release it, to get it out.
It's almost like I think we're powerless over that too. It's not like you can plan it. Tomorrow I'm going to go somewhere where nobody's around, I'm just going to cry. There's so many tears that I've held back. Even now still, there's a dam, and it's waiting to burst. And when the time comes and I'm ready, it'll be released. Because it's nothing that you can really plan, but when it does happen, just to let it out, to let it go, to yell, scream, do whatever it is you got to do. I do little things here and there daily to let that out. I train at the gym daily. I train for those demons. Sometimes the narcissist is out of my life, but that's just one face. There's many different forms of evil out there, and even sometimes I could be a prisoner in my own mind. In the back of my head, there's demons doing push-ups if I don't train.
You say, and I think this is a good way to say it, that I guess there was something I was going to say. All right, talk for a minute so I can remember what I was going to say.
Anyways, so there's certain things that I do. I haven't had a full, cry for a long time, and I'm not the type of guy that thinks I'm too manly to cry. I wouldn't care. It's just, it's not there yet. But yeah, I deal every day with CPTSD, and certain things. It's definitely getting better. If it didn't get better, I wouldn't be here. So I can promise you, it will get better if you build a relationship with God.
I'm sorry, guys. I like totally lost my train of thought. But I was going to talk about, so I got it out by like sobbing. But I think in some ways you get it out at night. Joe, like when we've mentioned before that Joe, he's talked about just a minute ago, has CPTSD. Just like we talk about narcissism and how this is spiritual warfare. It's not just I had a bad relationship, right? Like it's serious. There's real symptoms and realities.
Like you literally encounter a form of evil.
And at night, your CPTSD, like I almost feel. Actually, I remember what I was going to say. You had mentioned that your mind is a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, see, I always say that, like, my mind's a bad neighborhood. It's not somewhere I want to be by myself.
Yeah. And it's like at nighttime, sometimes Joe will have these moments or these days. They just come and he's literally twitching all night. If I touch him at night, like even just gently, like I just brush his hand, he jumps. Like there's a part of you, and I almost wonder if that's part of it seeping out when you're unconscious. You can't stop it, and it comes, and you have this reaction. It probably ultimately helps you, but it's very difficult for you.
Yeah, everything starts with an awareness. Like you can never get down to the solution if you're not aware of what the problem is. Part of it too is like, as I looked at myself, because I played a part in this, I allowed this to happen for 20 years. Like, it's not like I kicked the narcissist out after week 1. Like, I allowed this to happen. I had to look at myself. So there's some toxic guilt that I had to sort through to avoid self-condemnation and self-hatred.
And even with the kids too.
Yeah, because
sure.
With my kids, I'm like, how the hell did I allow this to happen?
Yeah,
like,
yes.
I'm partly responsible for this. There's a fine line of just not being judgmental, but just observing it and just, okay, wow, okay, that's what codependency means. Okay, so it's not just a word. I actually was codependent, and I have those traits that I have to be careful. And what do I learn from this so I don't repeat the same thing over and over again?
Tonight's video is really a reminder for anybody that if you are feeling pain, it's okay to let it out, and you will feel better. Yesterday, if Joe had said to me, you know what, it's going to be fine, you're going to feel better, I couldn't hear that at that moment, because I couldn't think past the immediate moment of pain that I was feeling, and it was heavy. I felt like a heaviness. That's why I think when you wrap me in your arms like that, I almost like counteracted it, because my body at first wanted to get away. Like I wanted to get away, but I think that was whatever it was inside of me that didn't want me to feel better. Because imagine if I had run away from you, I had run up the path or whatever, I wouldn't have felt better. I mean, maybe eventually, but it would have went on for a longer period of time.
Me as a recovered alcoholic, I have to watch, like, because I can get to the self-pity thing way too much, to the point where it's like a pity party, and I'm poor me, another drink eventually if I stay there. So part of the process too is like, if you get to the point where you're releasing, let it out. If you can get to that point when you're ready, but like looking at it like, okay, all right. So we talked about doing the gratitude list. Like, okay, shit happens. It happened to us. There's other people got it worse, but let's focus on the solution now. You let it go. You let that energy go. You don't have to stay here and live in this for the rest of your life. So we started looking at where were we 2 years ago, and where are we? It doesn't seem like we're not where we want to be, but we're definitely not where we were. And where we were was in an impossible situation that God got us out of. So getting back to, okay, what's the solution here? Accepting like nothing happens in this world for by mistake, and that I can't change people, places, or things. So the only thing I can change, with God's help even, is myself, my perspective, and my attitude. Looking at that and realizing I was the one that needed to change, because what I was dealing with was something that's they just don't change. They don't adapt. They can't grow. They're not honest enough. They don't have that intuition.
Well, I think the reality is they're not fully human anymore. Whatever else they were, whatever else they had the potential to be, doesn't exist. And for a long time, when you're with the narcissist, you desperately want to know. Like, you want to believe. You need to believe that, of course, they can change. Of course. I used to think all the time, well, I've seen my ex be nice. Of course he can be this way. It seemed natural. But there's an acceptance of no. And then that kind of filters through your body. It's going through your bloodstream. And it's almost like a volcano. Eventually, at some point, sooner or later, if you don't let it out, it's going to be very difficult for you to fully recover.
Yeah, you could break, and I think that's where you get to a point where the pressure drop, where the kettle's boiling, and it starts to whistle and steam out to get that garbage out.
I agree completely. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. This happened yesterday, and I just want I don't want people to have breakdowns and stuff, but I want to encourage you.
If they get to that point,
not to be afraid.
Yeah, to go with it, let it out, let it go. If you're blessed enough to get to that point, where I believe everybody in recovery is honestly walking with God, you get to that point to let it out, and then to immediately get into the acceptance, immediately get into, okay, I got to do a gratitude list. What am I grateful for?
That's really good that you said that, because
you can stay there.
Yeah,
you stay there. Like poor me or self-pity and shit. That's part of the problem, the way we think sometimes. So bouncing back and say, okay, I got it out. I feel better. Okay, let's look at the things that I do have and use that reference point that we did, like we're 2 years ago, where we didn't have a dime to pay for freaking an attorney, to where we are now, totally divorced, separate from them, moving on with their lives. Their kids are okay. Even the ones that are struggling, they're safe, they're okay. They're not where we want them to be either, but there's an acceptance part. And then, okay, what's the solution?
They need to do that too, which is another video. That's painful to think your child needing to suffer, but that's part of what it is.
Pain is unavoidable. Like, it's here for a reason. I'm trying to, now that I believe I spiritually have grown a little bit enough to say, okay, I don't need to be in pain all the time to move forward. Like, I can let love be my guide and my motivator. And it's been a different kind of journey for me. It's different. There's not a lot of ego involved. There's more humility, and I'm not used to that kind of stuff.
So guys, if that's you, let us know. Have you gotten it out? Are you still holding it in? Do you still suffer, or where are you in the process?
And there's no right or wrong. Like, as I said, I didn't have that breakdown yet. I've had plenty of them, like moments of stuff during the course of my life. But I'm still, and it's okay. Like, I think I release it slowly every day, a little bit, instead of
I
one
think
big
you
thing.
do at night, but I know, guys, because Joe, like for me, it's almost like a baby swaddled. I needed to feel that pressure, so I'll know for you when it happens.
Yeah, like Sharon said, share with us if you guys ever after you, or even when you were with them, whatever. It's like we're no contact. So like this happened a couple years after no contact for Sharon, but. Let us know your experience with that, or if you believe that, or whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you.
We're all healing together, and Joe and I want to be here for you, and not just us, but each other. So comment, let us know. I will see you guys on Thursday. I told Joe I've been struggling with YouTube. I'm trying to do Monday, Thursday. So if I'm not here on Thursday, make sure to yell at me. But I should be. So Joe and I are what are we gonna do now?
I don't know. We're gonna chill and maybe watch a movie. Sharon's very active. She's not into like movies or anything like that, and I don't think I am either. It's been a while, but sometimes at nighttime, especially like it's hard for me, guys, at nighttime for whatever reason. I know that I need to be still and meditate and stuff, but sometimes I just need to go into another world. We'll read books and we'll do stuff like that. It's affected me, and I'm hoping that I'm not permanently broken. I struggle with like, oh my God, am I ever gonna be okay?
Think about yesterday. If you weren't there to talk to me, I would have went with that. Like, this is terrible. My life is an absolute nightmare. It's outrageous. I can't believe it. My poor son. But it's not true.
It's the spiritual warfare part. Is like the lies.
It's the devil whispering in
It is
your
like
ear.
what we choose to call the devil, but the lies whispering in your ear is just, and you're not seeing like the truth.
Yeah.
And the truth is that people have lost their lives over experiences like this, and they've lost everything. They didn't, they got divorced, and their kids are gone. Like, they don't, it's just horrible, and there's so many blessings. So it's important. Even every once in a while, I do a gratitude list of, and usually, you guys, what happens is, there's been a lot of times in the past, we'll wrap this up, where I call up Sharon, and this was, she's in another state, and we were good friends, but I have a panic attack. and like the electric went off, and my car was stolen by the narcissist, and I have no money, stolen by the narcissist. And we talk, and she's like, okay, you got your home yet, right? Yeah. Are the kids okay? Yeah. Do they have beds? Yes. Okay. The electric's coming on tomorrow. Do you have something to eat? Yes. Do you have a little bit of money? Yeah, I got a couple bucks. And like all the necessities, like the primary needs were always there. And then on top of that, like there were things that I didn't need that I had too. And I was just like, and the most important part, do you need to make any decisions right now, today? And it was no. And it kind of calmed me down because like we didn't do it directly, but indirectly we did a gratitude list of, wow, I actually have an abundance of things outside of my primary needs. Like, and wow, okay, I've always been taken care of from the womb to the tomb. Like, it's always been. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about like the birds in the air, like they have everything that they need just for that day, you know. And if that's just a bird, how much more does God care about a human being that He made in His own image?
You know, Joe, maybe we should continue this video next week. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
we can
talk
do
a
that.
little bit more about, let us know, do you want us to do that? Because I think part of the recovery, and we haven't really talked about this on the channel, is getting it out. And I can tell you, I do feel better today. Yesterday, last night, it wasn't good. But I do feel better today, and I have more hope today.
There's a saying, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And then if you even go deeper into that and you start looking at, like I mentioned, and Sharon's mentioned before, what was our part? You know, like when I asked myself that question after the narcissist was gone for like 8 months, like if she was the problem, then why are you so miserable and angry and upset?
There's a lot to get through when you're recovering.
There's things that you need to look at in yourself. And a good friend of mine said, you know, if you got a problem, you better hope it's yours, because then at least you have a chance to change it.
Yeah, I agree.
It goes back to that accepting, like a narcissist is a narcissist. It's just they are what they are. They're maladaptive. 1 out of a billion are going to change, maybe. Or they'll always be narcissists. They're just going to change their reactions if they're aware, if that's the case. But it's a process.
So we will talk to you guys next week. I'll be here on Thursday, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. God bless.
God bless you guys.